And it's very important that people understand that in order to affect change, we must truly be within ourselves a balance and feel love in that situation. So if someone feels led to go out and save the whales, they need to do it because they love the creatures so much and know that that love will have an impact on whatever is chosen for facilitating protection. So that and people do want to go for the argument of, well, sometimes you have to be really angry before things change, and that is a human condition, that's for sure. The threat has to become that real, but then in the walking through that, then we have to go from fear to love, and love is something that we really don't have to even talk about in other worlds.
Your computers were put into your world for a purpose. The soul that came down, or souls that came to this earth, although they may be misbehaving at present, but the souls that came to your earth to put these computers into action have actually done people a favor for the truth. So they were intentionally set to be put here so that you could spread the word of the truth and spread the word of spirituality and other things that needed to be talked about that weren't there before you had these modern technologies. And that is going to further itself into quantum technology. It's already doing it.
I present myself more in a physical body when I come close to the earth so that Regina can identify me as well as others who are bringing me forward.
Mhm.
I speak mostly with individuals in the psychological field study. Transpersonal is what I really was my skill set because I wished for people to understand that being a channeler or being connected with a greater possibilities, a greater reality, that you could get more information for your client or your patient, and you could help them access that place in themselves so that they could do some healing. And that's where I worked with. Although a lot of the transpersonal psychologists now feel that channeling has become more of a gimmick, not recognizing the value in it in itself. So I'm glad that we're bringing this subject up as far as channeling. It is a very precise way of getting to the bottom of a problem that an individual may be having in this earthly plane.
Welcome to Soul Explorers with your hosts, Gary Langley and Sally Taylor.
But the frequency that all of you humans are involved in right now, across the global arena, especially in the United States, is quite treacherous. It's quite threatening. It's quite diabolical. And of course, it's very upsetting. And we, those of us on the other side, many of us who choose to be available to the Earth community, very well aware of all this. We cannot interfere, but we do come in to give words of encouragement to help the individuals and the collective uh, find some peace and understand the hierarchy of evolution. And I talk a lot about evolution these days, and that was in Jean's big class that we gave, which I hope she makes available to people, as I don't want to have to say it all over again. But I like to look at being here in the earth plane more as an evolutionary process rather than a learning curve. Now, that doesn't mean we don't learn, but the overwhelming theme of coming into a human form is evolution, to evolve through whatever we've chosen to experience, whether it's the family we chose, whether it's a mission that we decided we haven't finished from another time period that we bring in now, or whether it's all of the above. And we're here to evolve through our own fears, the darkness, and to find the strength in our light in our center. And as I mentioned Kylene again, she used to say to her mom early on after she left, because she definitely had lots of conversations with her mom. And she said, Mom, this is a dark planet. And she said, if you can find your light here, you can find it anywhere. And actually, that's all I really have to say, although I will pontificate a bit more on that. But it's really the truth. This is we come here, and people have taken Jean to task on this when she says it, but it's my teaching really is that we don't come here to save the world, and there are people who really are taken aback by that. Those crusaders who perhaps in the 70s or 60s or 80s were saving the earth, and all these different groups came out to save the whales and to save the puppy dogs from the puppy mill, and the animals in the labs, and in our environment, which truly is a wonderful opportunity for growth. But what Jean knows, and I have helped support, is that it needs to be a positive motivation and not a negative one. And so therefore, when we bring to an effort a negative motivation, which would be fear that things will disappear, we bring fear to that opportunity. And it is really not subtle. And it's very important that people understand that in order to affect change, we must truly be within ourselves a balance and feel love in that situation. So if someone feels led to go out and save the whales, they need to do it because they love the creatures so much and know that that love will have an impact on whatever is chosen for facilitating protection. So that and people do want to go for the argument of, well, sometimes you have to be really angry before things change, and that is a human condition, that's for sure. The threat has to become that real, but then in the walking through that, then we have to go from fear to love, and love is something that we really don't have to even talk about in other worlds. It's something that's unique to this system, and when I say system, I don't refer to this galaxy as a dimension. It's a system. It's one of many systems, because dimensional space is far bigger than the human mind can grasp. But they've used that because that's come to them. But when you understand it's just a system that's part of many systems that fill up a dimension, it changes things, not to overwhelm in the sense of size being how can I affect change if I'm a little dot like a piece of sand, but to understand that if we are this huge system and not even a dimensional space, it's amazing what we can do to change things, because we have to stop thinking about the limit of size and go from the clarity and the precise energy of field of energy and frequency. If you have the frequency that is very clear and very supported, and you use the frequency with what people call higher energies, and they have all these megahertz and terahertz and whatever, but the frequencies that are not yet even tallied, the science has not yet even found. That's one of the goals for the planet, from those beings that are helping this planet develop, is to get into the other frequencies that go beyond what you've already identified. And that then is a step towards a much better understanding of what quote unquote love is and what a love field is, because it goes beyond the personalization of love. Even though this world has been around for a long time and there's been many advanced civilizations that have come and gone, most of them leave because they've learned what they needed to learn in the collective. And of course, there's always a demise that we can blame on war or idiocy or illness, but they go out because they've learned as much as they can to that frequency they can hold, and then they move through and move out and move on, because groups come in, small groups come out, medium-sized groups come in, huge groups come in, and that's also what you're experiencing now in this world, is the I don't like to use the word battle, but that's how it appears, this battle between dark and light, between confusion and truth, between the frailty of a young energy versus a wise, older, mature energy, and those people who come in to help balance the planet already know that they're not here to save the planet. They know that is not their process, but they know how to affect change. They know how to bring forth a more beautiful, enhanced, balanced frequency or series of frequencies, which do affect those who are willing to hold it, to be touched by it, and to walk through it, and therefore is their evolution.
Would you say that individually we need to be doing the work to change within ourselves, and that has an effect on the whole that radiates out to others? Is that correct?
That is perfectly correct, sir, yes, because what you are thinking is what your actions are, is what the energy you are putting out. For instance, if you get a few people say a prayer for a particular person, the energy and the intention is a setting. And of course, it is going to be movable, permeable. Energy is permeable, it is travelable, you see, and it can permeate anything because everything is energy. Everything has a radiance of energy around it and within it, above it and below it. And so, therefore, when you set an intention, you are putting that intention out there. And when so many people are putting negative intentions out there, it causes partitions of people and creates two sides, which creates an argumentative situation, which creates what they want, a world parting. But therefore, it'll only end up bringing you together.
So truly watching our own actions and reactions to others and coming from the heart, coming from a loving place is vitally important on an individual basis.
Yes, if you notice that spirituality has been really waking up everywhere, hasn't it?
Yes.
You've
Yes.
got all of your channels going on, you're putting the word out there, you've got it everywhere. Whereas before you didn't have so much of that. But now people are coming out and spreading the word of the afterlife, which is absolutely true, of course. Spirituality is freedom if done in the right way. It's absolutely beautiful.
And that's why we do this particular channel called Soul Explorers. And we're so honored to have you here today. Go ahead, Sally. I
Yeah.
think you have a question.
Yeah, I do. I've got a little tangential question to attach to that. Was it necessary that technology get to a point that allows us to spread this information before this shift could happen, or could it have happened at any time? Why is it specific to this particular time?
Your computers were put into your world for a purpose. The soul that came down, or souls that came to this earth, although they may be misbehaving at present, but the souls that came to your earth to put these computers into action have actually done people a favor for the truth. So they were intentionally set to be put here so that you could spread the word of the truth and spread the word of spirituality and other things that needed to be talked about that weren't there before you had these modern technologies. And that is going to further itself into quantum technology. It's already doing it.
Mhm.
They're already developing it.
Is there anything to be concerned about? I know a lot of people have a lot of fear attached to quantum computers and quantum technology. Do we need to take care with anything in that area?
You've got negative and positive within everything. And everything has two sides, as above, so below, sad, happy. Earth, sky, sea, land, black, white. You've got all of that, haven't you? And when I say certain things, I mean explanations of things, but you've got the opposite on each and every side of everything. So you've got the opposite of emotion. You've got the opposite of negative and positive together side by side. Now, out of negative comes positive, you see. So you can see that some of this computer action is negative and some of it is a positive and it is beneficial. So it is a great help. So therefore, these robotics that they are creating, these AIs that they are creating, it's negative and positive. It all depends on who gets into it. So if you get someone that is a negative trait and they want to create something negative out of it, they're going to, aren't they? They're going to do their best to create something negative out of it. But the positive will outweigh everything in the end. Although you have to go through negative to realize the positive, it unfolds it gradually until therefore one shoots oneself in one's feet and understands that, well, we created it for our own purposes of negativity and control, but the outcome has been far different to what we first wanted it to be. Now it is positive. What are we going to do? So one might say that you've got these robotics, you've got the AI, that the world is developing at such a fast pace that it is more or less, it's not out of control, one might say, that everyone has a creative mind. Now, creativity is never going to stop, but the negative side of it is always going to butt in and try and make it a little bit different and more controlling, you see. So one might create something for the good, and another comes and taps into it and creates the negative from it.
Yeah.
Now, do you see what I'm trying to get at?
That, yes, I do. And that reflects something I've recently heard someone say, is that AI is going to reflect the people that are in charge of it. So if their morals,
right.
their integrity is high, it's going to have a positive influence. If they're using it for nefarious means, it's going to reflect that.
Yes. Again, whatever the intention is the outcome.
Yes.
But you've got two sides to every intention. You've got the negative intention, you've got the positive intention. You're going to get both. But who is going to be greater at the end? The positivity.
Could you tell us anything about how people in the world of spirit are actually utilizing technology to communicate with us here? Gary and I both have some experience with spirit utilizing technology to come through and to communicate. Is there what's going on that side that's helping this all to occur?
Well, I do believe that our energy is limitless, and the people that are willing to accept our energy and go on their spiritual path are wonderful. They are a great help. So we are watching over your world. We are helping you with your technology. You see, everything is, my dear, forward motion. Nothing is ever going to go backwards. Only your thoughts go backwards because you hang on to the past. But one might say that if you let that go, it's only ever going to be forward motion anyway. Progression, the soul's progression. So therefore, self-expression is the soul's progression, because self-expression is a form of self-love. Others may use their abilities as a greed and something to control people with, and others may use it as a form of artistry and a form of, yes, look, this is what I have created. Yes, look, this is what it can do. Let me turn it on. Let me show you. And then Mr. Negative comes along and says, well, I will have a piece of that. Let's press a button that makes it go negative. You see, so you've got to learn to accept the negative with the positive, because that is how it is. You've got the two sides again, everything, the bridge, the gap of the two sides. So when you bring negative in front of positive, and there is greater positive, you've got a battery, you've got a negative, you've got a positive. You couldn't run a battery on two positives. You couldn't run a battery on two negatives. It just simply would not work. So the reason why you have negative and positive ratio on your earth is because it wouldn't work otherwise. You would never learn anything. You would never progress. You see, because you've been swimming around in bliss, you would never progress. You would never show your true self, really. You would do, but it needs to be learned in human form, the difference between negative and positive and how they behave side by side and what the outcome is.
Beautiful.
It's rather difficult for you to comprehend at times, because you look at the greater depths of negative, and these souls that are creating it have chosen to go through it. They've chosen to experience the greater depths and the depravities of the negative, whereas others have chosen to direct their thoughts more to the positive side, and they want to come here to experience that positive. So the negatives will work their way through the realms until they become a more positive outcome.
Well, I think that was a wonderful explanation. And 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 I
If you really, really, truly want to communicate with the other side, with your loved ones, what's the first thing you have to do? You have to stop. Stop everything else that you're doing. Set yourself down, put your pencils down, put your phones down, put your books down, put everything down. Put your hands on your lap. Take some nice deep breaths and quiet your mind for a few minutes. Just quiet your mind. And pretty soon, you will get images or mental words or names. And they'll just float through you. And you don't want to deny them. You just let them be present with you. And those mental images, those words, those names, that's your first contact. Right there. And then you build on that. It may take a few times of connecting, but each and every one of you has someone with you. And most of you have more than someone. You have many, many individuals. There's nothing to be afraid of if you set your intention with receiving love and giving love. If you set intention of receiving an individual or making, I only want to hear from so-and-so, then you are putting limitations on your abilities to receive information, because sometimes the individual cannot speak to you through that limited block. So it has to open you up. You have to be open first to receive. And it can be anything, absolutely anything. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, tell us, Francis, if you would, may I call you Francis?
Oh, I love it.
And I just saw your picture online. I looked you up. What is it like on the plane of existence you're living on across the veil?
That's a very good question. Because I have been working with so many individuals, and I continue to work with so many individuals on your side, it existed in a framework more of the human nature with cityscapes or parks and buildings, benches, candles, just all the physical things that you have. I kind of work in that area because that's what I have to navigate through. But when I go to get my education, I step away from all of those things that are of our earthly manifestations and visions and visualizations, and just step away from that and move into almost like a classroom setting. And in that classroom setting, there is no, I'm not in pencil paper mode or any of that, or books even. There's an absorption of information. There are individuals of other levels who present to us the same way I'm presenting to you. And there's not the communication that we need using the human voice. It is only done with thought. And the thoughts can convey unlimited symbols, again, ideas, because we don't have the limitations that you do in the physical earth. With the physical earth, you have to live within all the parameters of all the physical manifestations that we've created, whether it be dirt, the sand, a car, wind, sun, but I don't have to exist in that. I only exist in that when I'm coming here close to you. And when I'm stepping further away from my education system, then I can really release the physical body fully. I present myself more in a physical body when I come close to the earth, so that Regina can identify me as well as others who are bringing me forward.
Mhm.
I speak mostly with individuals in the psychological field study transpersonal is what I really was my skill set, because I wished for people to understand that being a channeler or being connected with a greater possibilities, a greater reality, that you could get more information for your client or your patient, and you could help them access that place in themselves so that they could do some healing. And that's where I worked with. Although a lot of the transpersonal psychologists now feel that channeling has become more of a gimmick, not recognizing the value in it itself. So I'm glad that we're bringing this subject up as far as channeling. It is a very precise way of getting to the bottom of a problem that an individual may be having in this earthly plane.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So do you have beautiful scenery where you are? Is it rivers and streams and mountains and flowers? And is that what the outward world looks like to you in your current state of existence?
Well, my state of existence, the current, I love that. The current state of existence, it can be that beautiful flowery thing. It can be that big grand park setting. That I sometimes present with, but it is not the place where I go for the most joyful moments, as you, I think you're wishing for me to express. And when I feel joy, it is connecting to an individual or another entity on my side, where there is a blending of information that is almost electrical. It's stimulating. And on the earth, we'd call that orgasmic, because it really is. It's just beautiful. There is no other way around that for me. I don't need all of the flowers and the beautiful things or the music. I was all about connecting to the heart, connecting to the soul. And I worked hard in the physical of connecting to an individual's heart space and their soul. So my greater reality here is about feeling that at all times. I look in at some of my clients. I look in at my husband, Roger, and I tell him how much I love him. He doesn't feel it. I know that because he's Roger, but I'm presenting it to it, and I see that little spark of love inside him, and I'm giving him hugs. And so I know that fire is burning, and oh, that's such joy. So that's where mine is.
I certainly did not expect a carbon copy version. I think it's probably geared for each of us as to what we need to experience and learn. Would you agree that is the case?
Absolutely. There are individuals here who need to be in the forest, and that is their forest. Their forest is just, or others who just need to be soaring and flying. Others who need to just experience travel for the first time in their lives. They've always wanted to travel, so the first thing they do is travel. But where are they traveling? They're traveling all over the United States, all over the world, and then their next experience is traveling further. So they just keep pushing the boundaries further and further and further into a greater reality. To see each individual experiencing their happiness in an incredible moment of joy and peace at the same time. How can we do that? How can we be ecstatic and have peace at the same time? I don't know. I'm still learning, but we're doing it, and it's exciting. It can take your breath away.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain any further for you because there are no words. It is all in here, everything. And I think if I could share that with your audience, stop looking out. Stop looking out there. Your joy, your Christmas, your Hanukkah, your Kwanzaa, your most special moments, all of it right here, right
Mhm.
here. It's not up here. It's not part of the rational. It's part of joy. It's all here. And if you can't find it, look deeper. There are pieces of joy, and then you build on that.
If you enjoyed this content, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.